Let's do this then. Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Conversations with My Father.
It's lovely to have your company again for an episode which, right at the start, seemed to be awfully optimistic that we'd reach this point with there being any residual interest amongst our viewers and watchers, listeners. So thank you for taking an interest in this one, and we hope you will be entertained by it in the same measure as the other 9.
Indeed. And this one, as you may have seen in the title, is about ladies and women in our life. It's just been International Women's Day. We've got Mothering Sunday coming up next weekend. So we thought we'd kind of sandwich that nicely with, well, we're the filling to the sandwich, aren't we, with this episode?
Yes.
So our podcast will hopefully go out, it should be out this weekend, this Sunday. Talking about ladies in our life. But however, prior to that, people need to click or subscribe.
Oh, down here somewhere.
Somewhere down there. I think just in front of the table there should be a little box that pops up on your screen.
About here.
And what do they need to do?
They need to pass it on to other people and say how interesting this is. And I've completely forgotten.
Subscribe.
Oh yes,
10
subscribing.
And he still can't get it right.
No, subscribe.
And do you want to do a quick little promo about our lovely food sponsor and drink sponsor?
Yes.
Fresh
Very
Fitness
much so.
Food.
Fresh Fitness Food, and I've got Feel the Beat and a couple of nice little
nibbly bits
down here.
So big thank you to the guys at Fresh Fitness Food for once again sponsoring this episode.
Can you open that for me?
They are an incredible meal service company that are all, there you are, voila, that run throughout London. And they provide delicious, nutritious, incredible meals delivered right to your door. You can decide exactly what you want. And if you add Conversation 55 in on your first order, you will get £55 off, which is quite substantial.
That's very good effort.
So very, very nice. So big thank you once again to
Fresh Fitness Food.
I'm going to have tasty turmeric.
Do you want a hand taking that off?
Yeah, could you take that one off for me?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
There we go.
Thank you.
Piece of cake.
Thank you very much indeed. So do you want to, where do we start really with this?
Well,
is there anything you particularly want to...
Well, I should say that women in our lives is going to be a very different set of interesting things to say about important women in my life.
Compared
between
to mine.
us.
Yeah. Well, we share a few in common.
We do share a few, that's quite right. But
Mum and
I've got to the age now where the sort of interests that I had some 40 years ago are very different to those you have now.
Yeah, very true.
And to my current situation, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll see how we go. In mine there's one girlfriend in it, and all the rest are really important.
Did she feature in the episode where we were talking about relationships and what you've learned from previous relationships?
Might have done.
Okay.
Might have done.
Well, I feel, one of the big questions I wanted to start with, and I feel that you can then go off on a tangent thereafter, would be, how important have the women in your life been to you, and how much have they shaped you into the man you are today?
Important.
I feel like that's a mic drop question, that, yeah.
Important to me, I think in every sense, it's love that I've been given.
Yeah.
And that makes such a huge difference to the quality of life.
That was the episode. It was about love, wasn't it? That was what we were on about.
Yeah, it could have been.
Very good episode, that, for you.
But
back and look at that.
So love is how to show it, how to feel it, how to react to it. So very much give and take. And you don't often get it right first time. but trying to learn from mistakes. This is, of course, coming to girlfriends, but trying to learn from mistakes is important.
Yeah.
And I think that, should we go into individuals, or would you like to take that question
No, you could do. Feel free.
to
Yeah.
yourself?
Feel free.
Sorry, the first part was how they've
Yeah.
how
You've gone off on
important
you've lost it. How important
how
have the
it's
women in your
shaped
life
me.
been? Yeah, and how much have they shaped you?
I think I would repeat that showing and receiving love is very important. It costs nothing, and just a little bit of thought on to take you out of your own selfish environment. Just a little thought as to how you might show affection for someone else is extremely important, and I have certainly felt that, and I've been incredibly lucky to feel that. So, how would you say that women have
Well,
shaped yours?
I think men can learn a huge amount from women. I feel that we are quite different in many ways,
Yes.
and certainly, the likes of Mum and my sister have been incredibly influential and inspiring to me, and have taught me a lot. Have potentially softened me, and hopefully given me good manners. I know that's come from you as well, but to treat women the right way is just so important. And I do think we're going to come on to this later, but I do think the impact of social media these days and incredibly influential men can be very dangerous on the younger generation and people, young boys specifically, who are learning and maturing through their teens and being influenced in the wrong way by these men online, and for just stupid reasons and whatever. And I just think it's so important that people don't lose track of, or just the simple things, courteous, being polite, being helpful, and how I generally feel the ladies in my life have taught me a lot, and have made me into who I am today, and respecting people and just talking to them and doing everything you can to make a lady feel comfortable in this day and age as well, with everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
I just think it's so important. So I would say the two people that stand out straight away are Mum and Phoebe, who've been there throughout my whole life. Having an older sister, Phoebe's has been, I feel very lucky to have had someone like that, far more so than an older brother. Having an older sister was amazing. I'm quite protective over her in a hopefully a nice way, but because I care about her so much, and she's been incredible to me through breakups, through tough times, whatever. Just incredibly, she's very intelligent, she's very respectful and understanding of my situation, as has Mum been, as well. So yeah, those are the two that jump out, and then obviously it comes on to my amazing girlfriend Pops, who hopefully will be watching, and yeah, how amazing she's been for the past 2.5 years now, and just helped me become the man I am today. So I have a huge amount of admiration and respect for ladies in that way. So yeah.
I would just like to say at this point, we will almost certainly be doing an episode to do with men in my life, because there have been some incredibly influential moments, some very close friendships, much love, and as I think I may have mentioned before, but the older I get, the less reluctant I have become in hugging good male friends. And it gives so much more about how you feel about someone if you can give them a hug rather than a stiff handshake, how do you do, lovely to see you again.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is important. I mean, it shows both sides are confident to do that.
Yeah.
And I think there should be more of it. But I have no hesitation in recommending it, I tell you.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say have been some of the main lessons that women have taught you in your 63 years on this planet? Is there anything that jumps out?
Being thoughtful about the lady in question, and that would run from my mother through to Phoebe, as you've already mentioned. Just being thoughtful, and it means so much to the other half. If halves, the other partner, the lady, it means so much to be thought about, to be considered, and to show that you are tuned in to the possible mood of the situation. How to read that correctly is important.
Yeah.
So I think that has, I mean, not necessarily being told flat out, but just responding and being told over the years, this is what matters.
Yeah. Definitely, without a doubt, and especially given we have been born into the bodies of two white men in this day and age, and how we are ridiculously privileged in that sense. Now, what we've experienced, I don't want to go too deep into it, but there have been, throughout my life, you see the inequality that's happened, and I definitely feel it's beginning to come closer and closer together, equality in that sense, and how both of you and I are, without doubt, feminists in that sense. We're very all for that. But how I don't want this to come across as two privileged white men talking about women and we're not being condescending at all. We're trying to celebrate and champion the ladies in our life. So I want to make that very clear from kind of early on in this podcast, because it may seem like a couple of men sitting by a fire talking about that. I want to put that out there, because it's certainly not the case. And touching on certainly Grandma has been, so Mum's mum has just been, it's just an incredible role model for us three kids, and our cousins as well, in the sense, I never knew your mother, and I do find that having a leader like that, she is the eldest in our family. Matriarch, yeah, exactly. And how just what a role model she's been for me and for everyone, all our cousins.
And the highlight feature of that relationship with Grandma, it would be what?
God, the highlight feature.
One word.
She's incredibly thoughtful and caring. That's two words I've got.
That's all right.
But she will always put other people first, Grandma. She doesn't want, we always joke about I'm fine with her saying that, but she doesn't want other people to worry about her. She's she always puts other people first. Sometimes to a point where we need to tell her to start putting herself first. But yeah, I would. They're the two things that spring to mind.
Okay.
Do you have one for her? A word?
In one word, giving, I suppose, is the best one.
Yeah, so very similar.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. But if I can just come back.
Yeah.
You never knew my mother,
No, I didn't.
Grandmother.
I didn't.
And you never really knew Auntie Emmett either, did you?
I remember her very loosely, but I would have probably been 3 or 4, I think.
Did you? Anyway.
I feel like I did. I don't know. Emmett.
My mum was a professional child raiser, as you know, and she was in Oh, we've got a
We have
visitor
a
here,
dog
but
here.
we'll just keep
We
going.
can carry on, yeah. Hello.
Mum trained as a state registered nurse
Mm.
and was working in the Lambeth Hospital in 1940,
Yeah,
I think, in London, when it was bombed
yeah,
by the Luftwaffe.
yeah.
And so the hospital was completely taken out of action. And Mum, to cut a long story short, she accepted an invitation to work down in Devon, in Barnstaple, where a large house had been requisitioned by the army, or the Ministry of War, I don't know. But the point of this was Mum would be the matron
Yeah.
at this nursery, effectively, for children who'd been blitzed out of Plymouth or Falmouth down in the West Country, which were both very important Royal Naval bases.
Yeah.
So she was looking after these children and raising them.
Yeah.
And don't you dare.
Sorry for
Don't you
any
dare.
listeners right now. Our dogs walked in,
Get
but
out.
I'll remove them. in a minute.
And she had to advertise for an assistant.
Yeah.
And this lady from Cornwall, called Maud Mary Emmett, replied to the advertisement and got the job. And so the two of them were, get out of it.
Let
Two
me
of
just
them,
quickly take him outside.
the two of them were.
Keep going. Keep talking
I'll
to the
keep
camera.
talking.
Come on. There you go.
Expert child raisers. And then after the war, when the children returned home or were placed with foster parents, Mum answered an advertisement to work as a matron again in the Church of England Children's Society nursery in Cambridge, Harvey Goodwin.
Yeah.
And again, for the next 10 years, she was a professional child raiser, and she brought Emmett with her.
Yeah.
So they both moved back to Cambridge, where they worked together, and then Dad helped out as a member of the round table or something at the nursery, and the Mum and Dad then became quite enamoured with each other. But it meant that when I was growing up, I had Mum looking after me, an only child, and I was just cosseted and hugely loved.
Yeah. Spoilt?
Yeah, I'm sure I was.
Yeah.
And Auntie Emmett was the same, and she would always be babysitting for me and doing things, mending clothes and what have you. And she was ever so kind and like an angel from heaven, really.
Yeah.
She was such a wonderful servant. I don't mean that in a formal way, but she became
Just a
part
giver.
of the family.
Yeah.
And would always spend Christmas with us and would always seemingly be available to house sit when we went on holiday. And she could invite friends round to stay and so on.
Yeah.
But she showed me such love as well, in such a selfless way. And always with a smile and a laugh. I know she was in pain. She had bad hips and operations to sort that out, but she never really complained.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was a great love of mine. She was,
So she was friend. You got to know her through Mum.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Amazing.
So she died in 99.
So she almost
aged-
acted as kind of a motherly figure for you.
Yes.
Then, when your mum passed. Yeah.
Yes. Well, no, because she was older than Mum, and she did help for the first few years, and then Dad thought she ought to be closer to her family down in the southwest, so he bought a little bungalow for her, and she lived there for the rest of her life.
Got rid of her.
Yeah.
I've had enough of you. Off you go.
No, not at all. But
Old Emma. Did she ever come here?
No,
No. Okay, I'm getting confused with someone else then.
no.
But you've always spoken very highly of her.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Yes.
talking of women you speak highly of, were there many in your workplace throughout your time at Ransburg Shepherds and Rathbones that kind of come to mind and inspired you at all?
Yes, but not over the entire period of my career.
Yeah.
There have been colleagues I've been with for 30 of the 37 years I was working, but that's on another broadcast in due course.
Yeah.
But yes, I could certainly mention half a dozen.
Yeah.
But this is pretty much a name-free episode.
Of course.
Given the possible sensitivities of what we're going to say.
Indeed. But you wanted to briefly touch on a previous relationship before Mum as well?
Yes, I do, and a wonderful girlfriend at university, with whom I had an awful lot of fun in my second year. And then I had my third year at university, and my girlfriend went out to Italy for her third year before coming back to university to finish her degree. And we did have a lovely time, and I am full of remorse.
That it didn't carry on?
Rather like Madama Butterfly and Pinkerton. I'm full of remorse that I caused such upset in breaking up in a most selfish way, but she meant an awful lot to me, and we had such lovely discussions, and she was very much a left-wing political advocate.
Right.
I wasn't, but we had very respectful conversations about it. And we had lovely mixed interests, and went to a test match once at Trent Bridge. Wonderful times. But I over
the one that got away.
Over the past 40 years, I have several times regretted very, very much what I did. There was a very heartless behaviour on my part.
But you'd have been quite young, weren't you? Because you met Mum when you were
21, 22.
Yeah.
And I hadn't had the advice from enough ladies in my life to make me realise that I was being brutish and selfish. So I really do regret that.
You do learn.
Still do.
Yeah. Well, however, that led you to Mum.
Yes, one or two stops on the way, but certainly Mum was very much sort of your mum, my wife.
Yeah.
Was very much love at first sight, and she had such a lovely character.
We have told them the story of the first meet, haven't we?
Yes,
I think we have. Yeah. First salmon, should I say?
But Mum, particularly over the past 10 years really, of my health challenges, has been appropriately enforcing with some degree of sternness.
Yeah.
And what I love most is the sympathetic and encouraging and loving. We'll get through this, and we do this together. And my main role is to support you and get you better. That is such a lovely thing to say.
She does it just with the biggest heart, and I think we have mentioned it before, but I think definitely in this, this is a perfect example, perfect time to just big her up even more, because a lot of what you guys see is this, the father and son relationship, and spending time with Dad, but Mum has been the rock, I'd say, in this family.
Yes.
That has held, or the keystone that's held us all together. And without her, you would, I don't know where you'd be. You'd be
which brings me to
you'd be having beans on toast.
the little saying,
Yes, true, perfect.
which I repeat from last week,
Yeah.
the importance of good grammar and punctuation. A woman without her man, comma, is nothing. And you just move a comma or two around and you get completely the opposite message. A woman without her man is nothing.
Mm.
And just at the moment, that second interpretation
Is where
is something that I fully subscribe to.
is where you're at. Yeah. Yeah.
But by
Nice.
golly, she keeps us going.
Yeah.
It is so very important.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky to have someone who still loves me and can still look after me, because you're right. I'd be on beans on toast and
He's
we'll be struggling with the hoovering.
yeah. Maybe the least of you are is the Hoover in the Ville. But yeah, she has just been selfless is a massive understatement
Yes.
for Mum, and
has.
it's almost to a point where I've had to encourage her to focus more on herself and
Yeah.
put herself first. And that phrase, "you can't serve others from an empty vessel," is a perfect thing for Mum. I feel is she's such a giver, that sometimes she then runs out and is like, "You've got it, Mum. You have to focus on yourself and be selfish from time to time, so that you then can give more and give your best as well." So we are, I'm certainly trying to encourage her to do that a little bit more, and with her yoga and tennis and whatever she's doing.
And more recently, this pop group that she's...
Is she?
Yeah.
There we go.
2 men, 2 women.
Like
ladies.
ABBA.
Like ABBA,
That's
yes.
who I saw last night.
And they're calling themselves the Average Shite Band, which I hope doesn't last too long.
You've got a bit.
Sorry, a bit of chocolate. That's delicious.
Very good fresh fitness food from them.
Millionaire shortbread. Marvellous.
I would say, I mean, coming on from your partner to my partner, now Poppy, and yeah, been together 2.5 years, and just, I mean, I love the relationship you and Mum have with her, and she's kind of settled into the family so nicely, and again how much she's meant to me, and has really supported me and with my kind of new steps in my career and where I want to go, and then starting this as well. She was a huge supporter of that and was encouraging me to really go for it. And I feel sometimes we need to give our other halves more credit in certain situations like this, because she's taught me a hell of a lot, and compassion and all these different things, and I can't thank her enough for.
You've got to keep going,
Did you go all in?
Yeah.
Oh, blimey. Well, we've probably got a good 5 minutes of me muttering on. But I like you and Mum. I do feel, she is kind of my rock in that sense, and I'm so excited to see what else kind of lies ahead, and what else I can learn from her, and so on. So I cannot thank her enough, and if you are watching, thank you for everything you've done. And I hope, hopefully for you as a father looking down on me and seeing me so happy in a...
You're taller than me, I can't.
True,
look down on you
very
now.
looking up at me in more ways than one, and seeing bringing home someone like that who is just fits into the family so well. You finished munching yet?
No, just give me another 20 seconds.
Another 20 seconds. And yeah, she's been brilliant. Are there any other ladies you'd like to talk about specifically?
Yes, I need to go back to Mum.
Oh, back to Mum again. Do.
Because...
Don't talk with your mouth full. Get it down.
Why I did that, I don't know.
You got, yeah.
Was tasty,
Panicked.
mate. Yeah. Anyway, when I met Mum, it was 4 months after my mother had died.
Yeah.
So I was a bit moody.
Right. Lewis.
And then, yes. And then I was taking my accountancy exams, which went
Badly.
very badly indeed. And I went home
Yeah.
one weekend before my exams, accountancy exam, to find my father in hospital having suffered a heart attack.
Yeah.
And this was quite something for me. I really didn't like the idea of losing Dad as well within a year.
No, not ideal.
And as it was, he survived another 14 years, which was not bad.
Ticker did well.
But for Mum, having to come, well, being boyfriend and girlfriend, at that point where I'd got an awful lot of emotional baggage, and to stick by me when we'd only been going out a few months,
Yeah, very true.
was
That's a lot
quite
for her.
something. Yeah, it was a huge amount for her, and she helped pull me through it,
Yeah.
and helped me get over the dreadful results that I got for my accountancy,
Very poor.
which were the worst possible degrees of failure in all 4 disciplines of my graduate conversion exam.
So much so that you framed it.
So much so that I framed it, plus the letter from the accountancy association
Yeah.
suggesting that I'd chosen the wrong career.
Yeah. And now your other son has chosen
To do it,
to take the
he's
baton
already,
over and is doing incredibly well.
bless him.
Yeah.
So, sorry, any other ladies in my...
Yes, in your life.
absolutely.
Right.
My cousin, dear Jenny, her mother and my mother were sisters. My mum was 15 or so years older, I think, than Jenny's mum.
Yeah.
But the 2 mums got on very well.
Yeah.
They were very close sisters.
Yeah.
Both very sadly died of breast cancer. But Jenny has been such a constant in my life. They have, I mean, she lives quite close to us, which helps enormously. And she's such a great friend of Mum's, which fills me with a lot of pleasure.
Yeah.
So she's always been there as a caring soul,
Yeah.
just looking after me, and she hasn't enjoyed great health in recent years either. So we do have quite a lot in common. She's a very dear lady.
Yeah.
And I love her very much.
Yeah. I think
then,
yeah.
I'm going to go for names, but Tricia.
Yeah.
My father was her
My
godfather.
My godmother.
Yes, she's now your godmother.
Yeah.
And her father and my father were partners in law.
Yeah.
In Cambridge, and they're rather like my cousin. Tricia's always been there with sound advice and caring inquiries, and it does mean a lot.
Yeah.
When you know someone is thinking of you, and so on.
Yeah.
And then I get to Phoebe, your sister.
Indeed.
I remember not so long ago when I had to take an exam at work. And I, alongside a number of my colleagues, was extremely indignant that at the age of 55, 56, I was being asked to take another exam.
Okay.
But we had to do it.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I was given a ring by the lady in charge of the process. Said, "Hi, Chris, I'm pleased."
Not a ring. Ring.
No.
A call. You jumped on a call.
Call, yeah.
Right. Didn't propose to you.
And no.
Right.
And I was told, "Congratulations, you've passed the theoretical side, but the practical side, I'm afraid you failed." I said, "You have got to be kidding. I have been doing that practical work for over 30 years now, and you say that I haven't done it properly."
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but this is absolute bollocks, and I very rarely lose my temper at work. But I did on that occasion.
yeah.
I said, I'm sorry, I do apologise, but this is so disappointing and shocking. And anyway, I did it again, but
What was the
and
practical
passed
work?
it. I can't remember. Well, no, I can remember. The practical was conducting an interview with a potential new client.
Oh, right. And then she didn't like your way, your methodology. Or your
No, there
way
was one crucial thing that I left out of the discussion,
Right.
which is what the fees would work out at.
Right.
Well, as they're ad valorem, they can be different one time to the next. It'd
Yeah.
be extraordinary if they were the same.
Right.
Anyway, when I came home and said to Phoebe, I'm in a foul mood
Yeah.
because I've failed an exam. I'm
Yeah.
56 and
Yeah.
I've been asked to do an exam and I failed it. And I was expecting, oh, Dad, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You poor old chap, I can understand how difficult that must be.
Poor daddy, she'd say. She
Yes.
Say, yeah.
But she didn't say that.
No.
She said, Daddy, if the roles were reversed and I was telling you that I'd failed an exam,
Yeah.
you know perfectly well that you would be telling me, bad luck, but suck it up and do it again. And I thought, my God, that's harsh, daughter
Yeah.
to father, but she's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I did suck it up, and I was steaming, blood pressure through the roof.
Yeah.
How dare you talk to me like that? But she did,
Yeah.
and I took it.
How old was she? She'd have been, what, 26?
Yeah, something like that, 28,
Fine.
27,
There
28.
you go.
And I did take the exam again, and I passed it.
There you go. Wise words from.
And the man in
daughter.
charge of the process, from the fund management viewpoint,
Yeah.
actually came and thanked me. He said, you don't know how important it is that we've got someone senior like you
Yeah.
who's taken it again and
Yeah.
passed it.
Yeah.
Because there are so many of your colleagues of your age
Yeah.
who are flatly refusing to do it.
Oh, to redo it or just to do
To
it in
do it
general?
or
Oh, I
redo
see.
it.
Yeah, yeah. And wise words from Phoebe then.
Yes,
Very good.
very much so.
I like it a lot.
And then,
Is there one more?
well,
Any more?
my sister-in-law,
Yes, indeed. Well,
Has
she was on
been
my list.
a constant
auntie.
in my life pretty much since I met Rowena, Mum.
Yeah. And also given what she's, I mean, she's been incredibly successful career-wise and
yes.
incredibly inspiring in that sense,
Yes,
without a doubt.
yeah, but I've seen her very much as an equal in terms of stress or
Yeah.
doing, certainly not overseas travel.
No.
Furthest I've been on overseas travel is the Isle of Wight,
Yeah.
whereas she's been to the States, Australia, the Far East,
Yeah.
all over the place, Europe.
Yeah.
So she's been a very important role model to me.
Yeah. Without
And
doubt.
it's so lovely that she and Mum get on so well together. They're such great friends, such mutual support,
Yeah. Without doubt.
from which we've all benefited.
Mm.
Actually, the two families get on so well.
Yeah.
We love going on holidays together, and
Yeah.
there aren't many families who'd be able to say, we've had a lovely time with our cousins
Yeah.
and
No.
uncle and aunt.
I know. Yeah.
But everyone, all 9 of us, want these things to happen. It's
Yeah.
joyous.
But no, she's incredible. She's been well, certainly a rock for Mum as well during
Yes.
these past 10 years. So
Absolutely.
yeah, she was on my list as well. Incredible.
Any other points, though, that I haven't mentioned about her?
Oh, I mean, where to start? She's just been I think as well because she's lived a different life in the sense that she was when Mum, well, when you guys both had Phoebe and then me, Mum stayed at home and you went to work, whereas Genevieve never, she was off and out. She was always working.
Yes, I
and
think
provided
within
a slightly different role in that sense, and was just I look at that and think, wow, that's just she has been, because she was so successful at work. She's done, she's been a real role model for the girls and for her husband as well. So
yes, Yes, that's true. And I think I ought to say that if we had started our family 5 years later,
Yeah.
we would have thought very carefully
Very
about
true.
Mum going to work,
Yeah.
going back to work.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, she had thought about it, but
yeah.
decided when Phoebe was a wee babe
A wee babe.
that she wouldn't go back to work.
Well,
And we
exactly,
made
indeed.
that decision
Mum was-
together.
Yeah. The mum was a maxillofacial surgeon, wasn't she?
Yes.
I think that's the right phrase. So, kind of high-end dentistry, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she did a lot of...
Rhinoplasty for the mouth.
No, that was no... She was very much involved in road traffic accidents when
Yeah.
she was working in Norwich.
I mean, it's
They
incredible.
would be including
title.
on every other Saturday afternoon
Yeah.
some Norwich City fans who'd got into a scrape with the away team
Yeah.
and had facial injuries,
Yeah.
and she would sort them out.
Yeah. Amazing. But yeah, she's so I mean that could have been. She was at the start of her career really with that, wasn't she? When
She
Phoebe
was.
came along.
Yes.
But yeah, just endless amounts of love and gratitude for those ladies in our lives.
Yes.
But also, I feel like it'd be nice to touch on people we don't know but know through the news and the press and so on. The likes of first people that straight away come to mind are the women's football team, the Lionesses.
Yeah.
I don't know how inspiring they've been for the younger generation and have put women's football on, really like put it on the map. And I still remember the day so clearly. That final was just amazing.
Yes. And I've put Serena Wigman in that.
Wigman.
Wigman.
All right. Okay.
Coach.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you got Serena Williams' name wrong there.
No, I think the manager coach
Yeah. Sure.
must be prepared to accept a lot of praise.
Yeah, definitely.
For that, I think it was a remarkable achievement.
Yeah.
You carry on.
Well, we do. Bang, bang, bang. I mean, well, the women's cricket team as well.
Yeah.
I was just chatting with my brother about, and he, was informing me that for the Ashes coming up, that the tickets have nearly sold out for that,
sold out,
which is just
fantastic.
incredible. So I feel like women's sport is really being securely put on the map, and it's there to stay. And obviously, it's always been right up there. But the successes of the likes of the Lionesses have really propelled it forwards and given it that kind of springboard effect forwards that it really deserves as well.
Yes, quite so.
So just amazing.
I would just like to provide a shout out for a young
I know who you're going to talk about as well.
Lady cricketer Alice Davidson Richards.
Yeah.
And she was at the same school as you. I think went on to Epsom and played first 11 cricket there. But recently, last year, I think she became the first person since W.G. Grace to take a wicket and score 100 in their maiden test match.
Really?
Yes, for England.
Wow.
Which is an extraordinary statistic.
Yeah, that's incredible. She was awesome.
Yes.
I mean, playing a number of times I faced her in the nets or was bowling against her, she was just deal with anything.
Yes.
I was just like, this is next level. She was a real talent.
Really is magnificent.
I'm so pleased she's really gone forward, pushed on and made time for it, because
Tunbridge Wells lass.
Yeah, exactly. The other one I wanted to touch on because of my love of winter sports is Mia Brooks. Heard of her? Know what she's done?
Is that snowboarding?
It is,
something?
yeah, indeed. So she's the 16-year-old that became the youngest snowboarding champion of all time, I believe.
Right. Yes.
And
that's right.
She apparently landed a 14. Well, I say apparently. I've seen the highlights. A 1440. Switch grab 1440. Do you know what that is?
No, not at all.
So the best way of doing it is when you hear of a trick in your 1440, divide it by 360. Okay, so 360 is one whole
Okay.
rotation.
Yes.
So can you do the maths? 14,
Yes, 4 times.
4 times. So she's done, gone over a jump and rotated 4 times and landed it, which I
What,
think was...
rotated sideways or
Yeah,
head over heels?
sideways.
Blimey.
The cab 1440, I think it's called.
Right.
Amazing. So much so that the commentator, ready for this?
Yes.
He was so ecstatic and was like, "My God, I'm losing my socks in the commentary booth." He went for there.
Right.
He probably went losing my mind, but socks came out of his mouth.
Yes.
So it shocked him as well, to the extent at which how well she did.
Yeah, well, that's
And
great.
I just think it is amazing seeing these. I feel like I'm hearing more and more stories of ladies just crushing it and being at the top of their game with sport.
Emma Raducanu.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I'd like to see her come back up the rankings a bit, but she's had a few injury problems. But to take the US Open in the way she did was utterly magnificent.
Yeah, exactly.
Set against a background of decades of failure from British ladies players at the Grand Slam events.
Yeah, one I suppose. I mean, British men in a sense.
British men haven't been
good old Tim getting to the
conspicuous
semis
by their success.
Yeah, indeed. So, but yeah, it's just a sprinkling really of other people that we don't know as such, but we know of,
Yes.
and that have been incredibly inspiring.
But
Go
on
on.
to that, and I won't wind these up too much, but ladies on television that I hugely admire. Monica Galetti.
Yes, the chef. Awesome.
I promised to take Mum to her restaurant in London.
That'd be nice.
Gabby Logan, I think, is
Yeah.
an utterly magnificent anchor person
Yep.
on sports programmes. She
Very, very
knows
good.
such a lot. She's not aggressive. She gets really good answers out of her
Awesome.
pundits.
Yeah.
I think she's absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
And then the lady...
Just quickly, while you're on sporting presenters,
Yes.
I feel that we need to mention my second cousin, Rosanna.
Oh,
Tennant.
yes.
Incredibly, she's a F1 presenter, and she's just awesome at what she does. So, big shout to her.
Yes.
And she is in I think the second series of Drive to Survive.
Oh, I think it's more than that.
Maybe second or third when she
3 or 4.
features a bit more. Yeah,
Yes.
she's brilliant. So, do check her out.
And then the news reading team and reporters, people like Sophie Rayworth and Rita Chakrabarti. And then the correspondents reporting from, generally speaking, very dangerous environments.
Yeah.
Lise Doucette and Orla Guerin I think they're utterly magnificent.
When you go out to a country and a war,
you've got shells landing next to them, and they're with
just
detachments of men firing rifles and cannons and howitzers and so on, and they're both there with their helmets on, reporting right from the middle of a war zone. They are incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. Absolutely
Absolutely phenomenal bravery and calm in a crisis.
Yeah, it is incredible.
And I'm sure I could think of some more. But
plenty more. Those are so certainly ones that spring to mind.
yes. I think one of the things that I was going to say, which I forgot when you were asking me about lessons learned, from my mother, most certainly, is when you're indoors, you take your hat off, and the number of times that I've seen, mostly young men, in a restaurant
with a hat on,
with a baseball cap on. I think that is so disrespectful to your fellow diners and the restaurant. But sitting there slumped over food with a baseball cap on, forwards, sideways, backwards, it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't be on. Sorry, I'm just being crusty and old-fashioned, but it still gets me. So I'm grateful to my mother and father.
Maybe
really
they're lacking
that advice.
Hair, and then they potentially maybe you should start wearing one actually.
I don't.
When you go to restaurants. No. Well, there we go.
Yes.
Nice little tangent there. I feel that's probably a good way of wrapping things up.
Right, you are.
Has it got smoke here in here? I feel like it has, isn't it? I hope you guys can still see us. It's just going to be
Yes, it has got a bit smoky, is
smog
it?
in here. But yeah, big thank you for once again tuning in. It's episode 10.
Episode 10.
We've hit the double digits now, which is amazing.
Yes.
Please,
Thank you so much for watching and
Yeah.
engaging with us. It means a huge amount.
It really does.
And whatever we can bring to you, that is an added bonus.
Indeed. So please do. Should we go? I think there are 4 things people can do. You've already done one.
Subscribe.
Yes, subscribe.
Go on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, not Facebook. We're not on Facebook. but
Press
Instagram.
the paper dart by forwarding it to somebody else. And the heart
The
as
heart.
well. And something down here.
Yeah, click on that. And
Can't remember
that'll
what
help
that is,
subscribe. Comments. We love all your comments as well. So please do leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube. I think you can comment on Spotify as well if you fancy. And anything, you do follow us on Instagram as well. Conversations with My Father is on both Spotify, YouTube and Instagram. So very easy to find us on all platforms. And yeah, we just really appreciate all the support and love that you guys are giving us. So
Thank you very much indeed.
I feel like we can end it there. Episode
Yes.
10 over and out. Thank you very much. Well done, you. Marvellous. Finito.